Hello, this is Heather Hoffman, and I'm here today to share with you a simple way to make a shaker card with no die cuts required. Just a pair of scissors and a little scrap of paper. I'm scoring and folding this paper in half. This is 80-pound Neenah solar white cardstock. You could use a heavier weight. I just thought the lighter weight is a little easier to cut and work with. And then I just used my scissors, I didn't trace or do anything, just old school, like taking me back to elementary school. I cut out a little heart. It's easier to make it symmetrical by folding the paper in half like that. Then I'm just going to carefully trace around that with a pencil onto my panel that already has that sweet little bunny and sentiment stamped onto it. All right, I'm going to just use my fine detail scissors just to cut a rough circle out of the middle of that just by poking my scissors through. And then I can carefully go around. It gives me a little space to work with and cut. And as you can see, I'm just carefully going right outside of that pencil outline that I drew on. This way I don't have to deal with erasing it or trying to make it go away afterwards. And as long as you carefully just turn that cardstock panel as you cut, it'll give you nice smooth edges. And there we go, we have our little window die cut out of there. I'm going to add some acetate behind that. This allows you to see through the window and see all the fun little shaker fillings that we put inside. I like to hold this in place with some good sturdy adhesive, so I use Scor-Tape, just the 1/4 inch. Any tapered liquid adhesive if you prefer, just allow it time to dry before you finish assembling the shaker card. Acetate takes a little longer if you use a liquid adhesive. All right, we'll tuck that on there, and now we have the window. Now I pulled that other piece I had. I actually threw it in my trash bin before I thought of a good use for it, so I pulled it back out. And as you can see, I'm trimming a little more off that heart to make a stencil to go on my card base. This way I can add some color behind the shaker window, and I'm just kind of tucking it behind there to set it in perfect placement on my card base there. You could just blend red on the card base. There's no specific science to it, but I kind of wanted to make sure my ink blending kind of matched up where that heart was so I could kind of fade out the color and get it the way I wanted. And I'm using SPUN sugar distress oxide and then a little bit of worn lipstick at the bottom. And this is where that window allows me to get the perfect blend. So it's kind of right in the center of that heart and not waste a bunch of my ink going over the entire card base when I don't need to. All right, move that out of the way and see how perfectly that fits behind our little shaker window. So now we have to add some depth in there to be able to fill our goodies in there. So I pulled out some foam adhesive. This is just a wide foam tape that I buy, and I trim it down into thinner strips. And if you peel off the backing, you can curl it around that heart to get perfect placement. Now you don't have to do this. You could just go around the edges and block off the bottom. But I like to kind of go somewhat close to the edges just because then I don't waste a lot of my sequins or whatever I'm using to fill my shaker card. The top I'm not going to worry about as much, although the very important thing is to make sure your edges touch firmly and seal. I don't know if you can see how I'm kind of pressing that in so I don't have any leaks or gaps, because that would allow all my lovely little shaker filling to fall out, and I don't want that. So once I have that entire panel on the back there covered with foam adhesive, I'm going to add my shaker filling. These are iridescent mini heart confetti from Pretty Pink Posh. And then I can go ahead and peel off the rest of this foam tape. And because this panel is the same size as my card front, I'm going to attach that from the back without tipping that over. That way I just know as long as I perfectly line that up, just like I did there, it's going to perfectly fit on that panel. All right, I thought at this point it still needed a little something more, so I grabbed a fine line black pen. This is a Copic fine multiliner. Any black pen, anything simple like this would work. And I'm using a ruler just to draw a really fine outline. It's just kind of a sketchy outline that sort of brings the focal point in. And then since I pictured this card as the little bunny with a big heart thinking of you, I kind of added some little thought bubble dots there to kind of bring that all together so that you kind of got the connection between the heart and the little bunny. And then I'm doing some I should have zoomed in on this part, but I figured the coloring wasn't really the focal point of this card video, but I'm just using a few simple warm grays to kind of do a grounding under the bunny, and then adding a little bit of blue Copic just to add some shadows, and then a little bit of pink on the cheeks as well, just to make that image come alive a little bit more, but keeping it very, very simple and easy. There you go. Easy to create your own shaker card, even if you don't have a die cut machine or any way to cut the window. You can do it manually. Thanks so much for coming by today. I hope you enjoyed and have a wonderful day.